All right, so you want to do a retake, yeah? What you need to do first is go through your original test and find the mistakes that you made. The best way to do that is to have the piece of paper in front of you that you wrote your original work on. And if you can have open in another tab, in another window, if you can have your original assessment open as well, the graded one, so you can look at what you typed in versus what I'm typing in and see if any of your mistakes were just typing things in Canvas. So you want to have your piece of paper in front of you that you actually wrote your work on, the one that you uploaded at the end of the test, and then also your Canvas test open in Canvas, so you can look at what you typed in. Okay, let's see how we did. Okay, number 1 says, write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line shown in the graph. So what are the two things we need? We need M and we need B. So, hang on, I need to annotate here. Drawing, here we go. So in order to get this equation, we need to know what M equals and we need to know what B equals. Well, I should be able to find those things pretty easily from the graph as long as I pay attention to where are the corners as well as going from left to right. From left to right, this goes up 1/4, up 1/4. So my slope is 1/4. B means where does it cross the y-axis? This is an ordered pair, 0, 2, but the B value that we put in the equation is just the y part, 2. So on your final answer here, and I'm going to type it in so we can make sure we see what this looks like, I'm going to put y equals parenthesis, and why did I use the parentheses? Because the slope is a fraction. Anytime the slope is a fraction, use the parentheses so that when you type the x and it's outside of the parentheses, this means typing it like this, you are telling me for sure that that x is not in the denominator, which is an important mathematical notation. We don't want the x in the denominator. Our brains are not quite mathematically ready for that yet. So parentheses 1/4, close the parentheses. Don't forget the x. If you got it wrong, look at what you typed in. Did you get it wrong because you forgot the x? Remember the x. It's a very important part. And then it's a positive y-intercept, so we type +2. Okay, number 2. You got all that? Because I'm going to clear all that away. Here we go, number 2. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line shown in the table. Well, still, we need M and B. Those are the two things we always need to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So to find M in a table, we are going to focus on the swoops here. How is it changing? Change in y is going down, 2, down, 2. Change in y over change in x. How is this changing? Up 3, up 3. So the slope, remember, it is always change in y over change in x. Okay, some of you did that the wrong way. Change in y over change in x. So the slope is -2/3. We know that the y-intercept is supposed to be an ordered pair that is 0, b. So I come to the x side, find the 0, and then look at the y that's with it. And that is my b value. Okay, so coming back to how you actually type it, so that's all the stuff that you should have written on your paper. Here's how we type it in. Parenthesis, don't forget the y equals parenthesis -2/3 x plus 2. -2/3 x plus 2. Okay, did you get all that? Because now I'm going to clear these notations. Here we go. Question number 3, write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through 3, 3 and has a slope of 2/3. This would definitely require some algebra written down on your paper. They told me the slope, so I'm going to start like this. Y equals 2/3 x plus b. I wrote plus b because I don't know it yet. What are the two things I need to write an equation? M and B. So I'm going to use this helper ordered pair that they gave me here because I know that this is x and this is y, and I'm going to plug those things into my equation. Y is 3, so 3 equals 2/3 x is also 3. Well, that was kind of nice on this then for me to make them the same number so that you couldn't mess that part up. Now this right here, the 3's are going to cancel, or remember how we've talked about in the videos and different things, just divide by the bottom and times by the top. Don't let the fraction freak you out. Divide by the bottom, times by the top. 3 divided by 3 is 1, times 2 is 2. Now I'm going to solve for b, -2 minus 2, and I get b equals 1. Not quite finished. I now need to finalize my equation. Here I go. Y equals Again, it's a fraction, so don't forget those parentheses. You only need the parentheses if the slope is a fraction. Y equals 2/3 x, don't forget the x, plus 1. I just found b equals 1, so I put that in there. So on that one, they gave me the slope and they did not give me the b, so I had to find the b and finish my equation. Question number 4. Again, they gave me the slope. And actually, in case you didn't notice this, you can go through the whole plug it in and find b, but guess what, you guys? This, I just highlighted everything on accident. This is b. How do I know? Because it starts with a 0. So I actually don't even have to do the algebra on this one unless you really want to, but I can just go y equals negative 3x. Notice I did not put the parentheses because that's not a fraction. I don't need to type it as a fraction, so I don't need the parentheses because I don't need to specify that x isn't in the denominator because I didn't type a denominator. Y equals negative 3x plus 5. M equals negative 3, B equals 5 on that one. That might be the only thing you could write down on your paper. Or you could plug in the ordered pair and you would get there still. All right, question number 5. This one is a little bit longer with a little bit more steps. The first thing we have to do is we have to find M. They didn't give me either of them, but they did give me 2 ordered pairs, so I can use the slope formula. Here we go. Y2 minus Y1, which is minus a negative, so I changed it to a plus, over X2 minus X1. I changed those both to pluses because I was subtracting a negative. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. That makes the slope negative 1, which is precisely what I type in here. You don't have to type negative 1 over 1, just negative 1. I think I actually still keyed it as correct if you did type negative 1 over 1, but in the equation, just use negative 1. It'll make your life so much easier. So now I take that slope and plug it in to start off my equation. I pick one of these ordered pairs. They're all negative, so one is not necessarily easier than another. Plug in y, plug in x. Be careful with your signs here. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Subtract 1 from both sides and we get negative 5 equals b. We now have m and b, which means we are now ready to finish our equation. This says final equation, so this is where I type my y equals m. You can type negative 1x minus 5, or you could have just typed negative x minus 5. Either of those are correct because they're the same thing. So that one we had to find m, type it in. Then we had to finish and find b and just type in our final equation. All right, clearing all the writing on that one. So pause or rewind if you need to. Clearing it. Question number 6, similar process. Okay, so we need to find m first using the slope formula. Here I go. Y2 minus Y1. Turned into a plus because it's minus a negative, over x2 minus x1. That did not turn into a plus because it's minus a positive. Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. Negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12. If you're taking a test and you know that you sometimes make a mistake on those integers, that's okay. Just type it in a calculator to double check. And then if they're both negatives, I'm going to simplify, and then I'm also going to make the entire slope positive, because a negative over a negative is a positive. So my slope is 1/4. There we go. I typed it in as 1/4. Notice it's a fraction, but I didn't put the parentheses around it because I'm not putting an x on it yet. I'm just typing the fraction. So I don't really need the parentheses there. All right, now I'm going to plug this in to y equals mx plus b. I'm going to take an ordered pair here. I'm just going to use this first one. Negative 2 equals 1/4 times 4 plus b. 1/4 times 4 is 1. Divide by the bottom, times by the top. And then minus 1, negative 3 is b. And I am ready to type my final equation. Here I go. Y equals, now I'm using the parentheses because I'm going to stick an x on it, and I need to know that x is not in the denominator. Minus 3. When the y-intercept is a negative, type minus 3. Okay, we found m, we found b, we finished our equation. Look at how everything is typed in compared to what you typed in. See if anything went wrong there. All right, I'm going to clear all the drawings, And last question, number 7. A fish tank's temperature is changing at a constant rate. After 2 hours, the temperature was 78 degrees. After 5 hours, the temperature was 72 degrees. X is the time in hours, 2 hours, 5 hours. Y is the temperature of the tank, 78 degrees, 72 degrees. Okay, write 2 ordered pairs from the story and then find the slope. Here we go. 2 hours, 78. Those go together, therefore they are an ordered pair. 5 hours, 72. Those go together and are therefore an ordered pair. Let's find the slope with them. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. That's a -6/3, which means the slope is -2, which also tells me that the temperature is dropping 2 degrees per hour, just in case you're curious about how to interpret that. Now we are going to plug in an ordered pair to find B and finish our equation. Here we go. Y equals -2x plus B. I'm just going to use this first ordered pair. Doesn't really matter. But what matters is that I put Y in for Y and X in for X. That would really mess things up here if I switch those around. 78 equals -4 plus B. Add 4 to both sides. And 82 is B. We are now ready to finish our equation. Y equals -2x, no parentheses because it's not a fraction, plus 82. And the last question was, of course, just uploading your picture. So hopefully you were able to find your mistakes. If you're still confused about anything, ask your math teacher for help. You have an extra practice to try, and then you can retake your test.